Aubrey, this is our job. How lucky are we?
I know, right? It's so nice to enjoy your job. I get a lot of validation from you guys' comments, the emails you send that you love the podcast, you're grateful for all the help with IELTS, and that feeds my soul.
Oh,
So I
seriously.
love it.
Oh, on that note, guys, if this little humble podcast of ours, IELTS Energy, if we have helped you at all, if you enjoy this at all, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It really helps more people find the show. So please pause this episode. We'll be here. Don't worry. Just hit pause and rate and review us right now. Take a couple seconds. We would greatly appreciate it. All right. So we are going to teach you some formal vocab that you can use in especially writing task 2 that relates to work and jobs. And the reason we're doing this is because we got a great comment on our YouTube channel.
Yes, so this was Abhishek Kalia who
Nice.
said
Good job.
kindly, hopefully, he said kindly make a video on job essays vocabulary. There's a good chance this student got a task 2 question about jobs or employment, or just potentially has seen them online and knows like, okay, this is a common topic, and they are right? This
Comes
comes up
up
a lot on task
so
2. You
often.
need high level vocabulary.
And speaking part 3. And like even writing task 1, both academic in general, because there are a number of task 1 academic graphs about employment or types of
Mm.
employment among ages or various countries or sectors of society, educational backgrounds, what type of work they end up in. And then also for the general training letter, you could be asked to write a letter to your boss or a job recruiter or something like that. So today's vocab is so useful. I do want to point out, though, that this subscriber left this comment on another fantastic vocab episode we did. Indulge in this IELTS food vocabulary. So go to IELTS Energy TV on YouTube and look up IELTS food vocabulary and watch that one as well. All right. So we came up with an amazing list for you guys today. I'm excited. This vocab is fantastic.
Yes, awesome. So, first of all, our first idiom here, kind of an expression, is to climb the corporate ladder. So, this would be if your task 2 essay is related to how, companies can make it easier for their employees to be successful, possibly, or,
Mhm.
anything just about trying to improve your position at work. This is an expression we use that just means to get promoted, to sort of, get the next better job at work. We say, climb the corporate ladder. It's not a physical ladder, right? It's this metaphorical improvement of a job.
Yeah. So, yeah, just get a better position in the same company, right? And notice that it is corporate ladder. So, there are questions on IELTS like comparing working for small companies versus large companies.
Mm.
Um, and discussing that could be useful. I think it's sometimes easier to get promoted in small companies as compared to climbing the corporate ladder, just being one among a sea of employees. And also, you could use it tongue in cheek, right? If you're answering a speaking part 1 question, for example, about your job, you could say, "Well, to be honest, I don't really want to try and climb the corporate ladder. I'm not interested in that. I want to do work that is meaningful, and I'm honestly looking for a different job right now." Something like that.
Oh, such a good point, right? This is useful everywhere on the IELTS exam
Yeah.
because whether you're talking about it being something that actually exists or something you don't care about, there's so many different questions that could be useful on.
Totally. And then here is, and it's a vocab phrase, but it's also an idea that you can talk about in speaking part 3 or writing task 2. And that is the wage gap. Now, I think the most common way we use this would be discussing the wage gap between like white collar and blue collar jobs, but these days I guess we always use it to discuss the wage gap between men and women as well. So
Mhm.
any big differences between society groups.
Yeah.
People get paid differently. That's all it is.
Exactly, right? So this could come up lots of different places. Just like you said, this could come up in a personal question about part one, where you can express your own frustration about wage gap issues you've seen. Or
Totally.
definitely part three, task two, where you are describing anything about companies, corporations, the way they work. Often your example, your reasons could be the
Yeah,
existence of a wage gap, either for
totally.
gender or for socioeconomic classes, like you said.
I think
Definitely.
also something I've seen in the news more and more is discussing the wage gap between CEOs, like the ones at the
Mm,
top, and like the grunts or like the normal employees. Like it's ridiculous. Like the gap
ridiculous.
is like millions of dollars.
Right?
People are always talking about how much CEOs make when they leave the company, even if they're fired because they, did something horrible. They leave the company and they get a buyout package of millions of dollars. I mean, talk about the wage gap. What if a normal employee gets fired? What do they get? Like
Right.
zilch. So,
It's really mind-boggling, like, 1% of the population receives, like, 99% of the
right.
income. There's such disparity, which just means, like, a huge difference, a huge gap. That's also a very high-level word for you guys to say on task 2, part 3. Instead of gap, you can say disparity, which means the same thing, but is band 9.
All right. Awesome. So, to continue with the conversation about comparing differences in gender, right? Not only do we discuss the wage gap, but we also use this term, glass ceiling. I love this term. How would you define it, Aubrey?
Yeah, so it's the idea that there's no limit to what your potential, right? So if you hit a glass ceiling, it sort of means I can't go anywhere further here.
Right.
Like you don't have any potential to be promoted, to have your job be improved. We say we're hitting a glass ceiling. And then we can also say there is no glass ceiling for this person if someone has that potential.
So yeah, exactly. The reason that there exists a glass ceiling is not merit based. It means it's not
Right.
because of the good job or bad job you did. It's because of something else that you can't control, like being a woman or being not white or being a non-native English speaker, for example. So these are things outside your actual work capabilities, right? So that's a glass ceiling. You'd be like, one can't deny that a glass ceiling exists for women in fields of science or fields of medicine, or one cannot deny a glass ceiling exists for non native speakers in many fields in America or New Zealand or Canada or whatever.
Yes, and we often will use the word shatter to talk about the need to
Yes.
end this, right? We'll
So
say
good.
we need to shatter this glass ceiling, which is an interesting image because, of course, we're not talking about literal glass ceilings. But if you imagine being able to get rid of that,
Yeah.
if it were a physical thing, shatter is when glass explodes into a million pieces. So that would be an
Yeah.
interesting thing to talk about in part three or task two is the need to change this.
Oh, I love it. What a great problem solution essay. I feel like
Mm.
this vocab would be useful in a lot of different problem solution essays, like shatter the glass ceiling. How do we do that? Oh, so good. All right. So the last phrase that we want to talk about today, and it does have a little bit of informal vocab, but I'll explain that right now. So the phrase is the necessity of side hustles. And this goes hand in hand with the phrase gig economy. So a side hustle, it's a little informal, but I think it is idiomatic and acceptable in writing task two. So I recommend these phrases for anywhere on IELTS. Now, um, side hustles are necessary, right? Because the cost of living has increased and is increasing dramatically, while the wages are not keeping pace with inflation. So everybody needs side jobs. That means extra jobs on the side of your normal one to make money. So those are side hustles. I have I have a few side hustles. I
Nice.
substitute teach in public schools. I write textbooks, and those are my side hustles right now.
Yeah, it's pretty vital for a teacher. There are lots of jobs at about this level where, just like you said, Jessica, all the costs of everything are going up, but teachers' wages haven't really been, increasing exponentially.
Mhm.
So I saw this on TikTok. There's a girl who got a side hustle at Costco. So
Oh,
she's also
wow.
teaching, but then she does these really interesting
Yeah,
cost comparisons about what a better job it is to work at Costco,
that's
like better
amazing.
benefits, like
Yeah,
employees treating you better, whatever it is. It's so fascinating to think about, and this really would make very interesting speaking questions and really add great examples and details, ideas to your task 2 essays to
yeah.
be able to talk about the need, because this is again with the wage gap, with the inflation, right, with all of these reasons
Mhm.
that create this need for the side hustle.
Exactly. And everybody needing side hustles, that is what we call the gig economy. That is why the gig economy exists. So the gig economy just means all of these various gigs or side jobs that people are using sometimes as their main job because they can't find other work. They'll just like piece together all of these little side jobs, like being a delivery driver for an app or a lot of different things for apps, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, totally. So those are all part of the gig economy. Uber, right? Lyft, all of those things. Any part-time jobs involving an app is is part of the gig economy.
Exactly. Oh, such interesting vocabulary. This is going to be extremely useful for so many places on IELTS. I think it's really important to keep in mind how these can be adjusted to answer part 1 questions, part 2, part 3, anywhere where work, jobs, earning money comes up, you're likely to get questions about that. And a
Mhm.
lot of these could be used to really boost those vocabulary scores.
For sure, for sure. So, guys, again, if you have learned anything from today's episode or any episode, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen. We would love to see your comments. So, yeah, we're almost done. So, as soon as we finish, rate and review. All
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. I'll see you next time.
right, bye, Aubrey.
Bye.